Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about some of the latest updates and news from Donald Trump. Now, whether you follow politics closely or just catch the occasional headline, it's no secret that Trump always makes waves when he steps in front of the microphone. And this time, his remarks covered everything from tech companies and social media to international conflicts, and even some surprising comments on vaccines. So now, what stood out most? For starters, Trump is highlighting what he calls a different dynamic this time around. He mentioned how some of his former adversaries in tech, like Apple's Tim Cook and Amazon's Jeff Bezos, are suddenly on better terms with him. It's an interesting shift, especially when you remember how tense those relationships were during his first term. Trump even pointed out how big tech companies like Meta and OpenAI are donating millions to his inauguration fund. So what's changed? Well, Trump says CEOs are simply calling him now, which he sees as a sign that people want to work with him this time around. And speaking of tech, Trump brought up TikTok. Yes, that TikTok. You might remember his previous administration tried to ban the app entirely, but now his tone is different. Trump admitted he has a warm spot for TikTok, even crediting it for helping him with younger voters, which, let's be real, is a bit surprising. He also said he plans to meet with TikTok CEO to take a look at the upcoming ban. What does that mean for TikTok's future in the US? Well, it's still unclear, but it sounds like Trump is more open to keeping the app around this time. Now, another major topic Trump touched on was his willingness to consider pardoning New York City Mayor Eric Adams. If you haven't been following, Adams has been accused of bribery and fraud, with allegations going back nearly a decade. Trump described the situation as unfair and compared it to something as small as being upgraded to first class on a flight. He also suggested that the timing of the indictment was suspicious, especially since Adams has been openly critical of immigration policies. Whether this was political or not, Trump made it clear that he's keeping an eye on the case. And while we're on the subject of controversial topics, Trump weighed in on vaccines, specifically the polio vaccine. He reassured everyone that despite some concerns tied to his administration's health pick, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the polio vaccine isn't going anywhere. Trump called himself a big believer in the vaccine, but also said he wants Kennedy to investigate why autism rates have risen over the years. Now, this is a touchy subject because the idea that vaccines cause autism has been repeatedly debunked, but Trump's comments signal that his administration still plans to look into it. Shifting gears, Trump addressed the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. He says he knows both leaders, Zelensky and Putin, and wants to bring them together to make a deal. In his words, both sides should be prepared to compromise to stop what he called a horrible, horrible war. But here's the thing. Trump didn't share specifics about what kind of deal he envisions. And for Ukraine, where cities have been reduced to rubble, the idea of compromise likely raises some difficult questions. Still, Trump's emphasis on ending the war quickly is something many people will be paying attention to. And finally, Trump touched on some high-profile incidents, like the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He called the crime cold-blooded and criticized those on social media who have praised the shooter. He also briefly addressed the mysterious drone sightings over the Northeast, saying the government knows what's happening, but is choosing to stay quiet. According to Trump, they'd be better off just telling people the truth about what's going on. So, where does all of this leave us? On one hand, Trump's press conference gave us a glimpse into the issues he's prioritizing as he prepares for his next term. From thawing relations with big tech to revisiting social media bans, and even weighing in on global conflicts, there's clearly a lot on his agenda. But on the other hand, some of his comments raise more questions than answers. Like what happens next with TikTok, what kind of deal he expects in Ukraine, and whether he'll follow through on these high-profile pardons. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Trump's remarks? Do you think his shifting tone on tech companies and social media signals a new approach? Or is it more of the same? And what do you make of his comments about vaccines and international relations? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.